doctor.
Save up to 35% on your contribution with Momentum Health.
The theory for using only 10% of our brain power has been around for almost a century and has launched a self-improvement industry that's worth billions. But researchers proved that we definitely use more than 10% of our brains and that no part of the brain is absolutely quiet or inactive. Now you know. Children's health behaviors are formed at a very early age, which means our parenting responsibilities extend way beyond the naughty chair. Physical activity amongst preschool kids is strongly associated with parental physical activity behaviors. And in sunny South Africa, what better way to encourage some family activity than in the pool? In fact, swimming is an excellent cardiovascular activity, and the resistance of the water provides some strength benefits too. Great idea, but be warned, 90% of children who drown are under some sort of supervision at the time. Forget how Hollywood depicts it. Of the approximately 750 children who will drown this year, half of them will do so within 50 meters of a parent or another adult. Drowning people are physiologically unable to call out for help simply because the respiratory system was designed for breathing, and speech is secondary or not important if you can't breathe. Drowning is responsible for more deaths amongst children in the ages of 1 to 4 than any other cause, and most of those drownings happen in home swimming pools. But any source of water, be it a bucket or a bath, can be a potential hazard to a young child. So if you have a pool or use a pool regularly, here's what I'd like you to remember. Swimming skills help. Formal swimming lessons can reduce the risk of drowning by as much as 90% amongst those 1 to 4-year-olds. Secondly, seconds count, so learn CPR. It really does save lives. The more quickly CPR is started, the better the chance of survival and improved outcomes. Don't just supervise, finally, practice touch supervision. Be close enough to reach the child at all times. It takes only 4 minutes without oxygen for irreversible brain damage to occur. For every child who dies from drowning, another 5 get non-fatal drowning injuries. These injuries can cause severe brain damage that may result in long-term disabilities such as memory problems, learning disabilities, and permanent loss of basic functioning. Countering that problem, Dr. Miles Bartlett has used hyperthermic therapy to save hundreds of kids from near-drowning disabilities.
According to the Medical Research Council, there have been 3,000 recorded deaths by drowning in the past 5 years. The highest incidence of drowning occurs in our inland provinces, and as a young boy in Bloemfontein, Ryk Neethling almost became a drowning statistic.
I was playing in a neighbor's pool. My own family's pool was very well protected, but I went to a neighbor's pool. We were playing around, and I was in the shallow end, and I went just a little bit too deep. I was with another boy. He was also not a good swimmer. Once we got to the deep end, we both started to panic, and he pushed me under, and I ended up at the bottom of the pool for just for a couple of seconds. Luckily, one of the bigger boys jumped in, pulled us out. I think the moral of the story was that I wasn't a strong enough swimmer. The very next day, I went to learn to swim school or teacher in Bloemfontein. I was a bit traumatized still from the whole experience. Within 2 or 3 lessons, I started to pick out who the best boys were at the Learn to Swim school, and I started to get competitive, and that's really how it started. It's not like I have nightmares about it. I think it's something that obviously was very important in my career. It's the way that I started. It's the reason why I started this business. This Learn to Swim business. Drownings happen so often in this country. It's been very nice for me to be able to give something back, and it really is all because I almost drowned when I was younger.
Since 2005, Dr. Miles Bartlett has treated around 200 drowning victims. As the head of one of South Africa's best pediatric intensive care units, he's a respected expert who sees the aftermath of a drowning accident all too often.
If the child is removed from the water and the child's not conscious and there's an absent pulse, that the parents start CPR immediately. They should know the numbers of the emergency services, and somebody should try and call the emergency services, and that they continue the CPR until the advanced life support teams arrive. So even bad CPR is better than no CPR. It's not to throw the child into a car and go running for the nearest hospital.
A child can drown in as little as 3 centimeters of water, and being deprived of oxygen for 4 to 6 minutes can be fatal for a young victim.
The brain is a very sensitive organism, so when blood flow and oxygen are cut off, brain cells die. So what hyperthermia is supposed to do, it suppresses all that. And the theory is that it reverses programmed cell death. When we go into hyperthermia, in the days before, we used to pack them with ice. We've got a window period of 6-8 hours, so we try and get them cooled within that period. Things have become a bit more sophisticated now. Once we've put all our monitoring equipment in, we then wrap them in a cooling blanket. The cooling blanket has a probe that goes into the rectum to measure cord temperature. It has a probe that goes on the skin to measure skin temperature. It then puts cold water through the wrap. We then dial in the temperature we want. In our case, it's normally 34 degrees. And then we leave them there for 72 hours. We often rewarm them after 72 hours, but if we find that our intracranial pressures become labile, in other words, the kids become unstable, then we stop our rewarming and we recool again.
Aside from pools, a child is also at risk of drowning in baths, buckets of water and shallow ponds, so supervision and water safety are critical.
My message to parents when it comes to water safety is that they should not wait. I think the earlier the better, and it's never too late either. Take somebody to a professional, don't try to do it yourself. There are some great professionals out there. Just get it done, and if you're happy, then you move on, but you know that your kid is going to be safe anywhere in the world, in a neighbor's pool, on vacation. If they fall into the water, they'll be able to save themselves or save somebody else.
Dive into water safety and equip your family with skills and knowledge that makes water fun for everyone.
Your healthcare needs are unique, and so is our offering.
I want to live the best life.